In Christ, you are an entirely new creation, resurrected into a new life. You are not the old man Mark II with a few improvements. That old man, separated from God, could do nothing. For as Jesus declared, apart from me, you can do nothing. All that old man can do in the church today is cause a stink to high heaven. And all the so-called holiness preaching in the church today is doing is causing a sound to rise to the heavenlies, the sound of hammers, chisels, and iron tools being used on the new creation. That ban on all man-made tools was a complete prohibition on any addition, alteration, or finishing of any of the stones that went to make up the temple. The stones for the temple arrive as the finished article. All that remains is for them to take up their positions together. That is the purpose of preaching to believers in the church, not to improve their dressing, their holiness. That was done at the quarry. That was done by He who chose the stone in the first place, before the earth was even formed. Listen to that from Isaiah 51 verse 1. Listen to me, you who pursue righteousness and who seek the Lord. Look to the rock from which you were cut, and to the quarry from which you were hewn. In Christ, you were chosen from before the foundation of the world, and the one who always had a plan for your life from all eternity also planned that He would be the one who not only chose you, but also finished you, dressed you, completed you in His holiness. Listen to how Paul speaks of how our destiny in Christ was pre-cut, and that bringing it to completion is entirely God's work. Here is his description of God's eternal plan for us, recorded in Romans 8:30. Those whom He predestined, He also called, and these whom He called, He also justified, and these whom He justified, He also glorified. He predestined, He called, He justified, He glorified. He. That is God's response to man's attempt to make himself holy by what he does. Stones that make up the temple of God's Spirit, both under the Old Covenant and the New, arrive as the finished article. To fulfill their role, their destiny, they only have to be positioned properly. I believe the Lord would say to His church today, as we face a world that only sees our old life, what He said to King Jehoshaphat in 2 Chronicles 20, as he faced what looked like the whole world against him. You will not have to fight this battle. Take up your positions, stand firm, and see the deliverance the Lord will give you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Go out to face them tomorrow, for the Lord will be with you. Preaching to believers is for the purpose of positioning, the renewing of our minds, that we take up our God-ordained positions together with Him, hidden with Christ in God.